Ambassador Zorlak's tentacles twitched nervously as he reviewed the documentation for the newly arrived human ship. The massive vessel, named Prospect of Dawn, had just docked at Galactic Union Station Alpha, and something about its specifications, it didn't add up. "This can't be right," he muttered to his assistant Trila. "According to their manifest, they have no weapons systems whatsoever." Trila's compound eyes shifted in a pattern that indicated confusion. "That's unusual for a ship of that size. Perhaps they're trusting in our station's protection?" "No, that's not it." Zorlak pulled up the historical records of human vessels. Every human ship that's ever entered Union space has been the same. They all claim to have no dedicated weapons systems. The contradiction was stark. Humans came from Earth, classified as a Class 12 death world. Their evolution in such a harsh environment had made them remarkably resilient and dangerous. All death world species developed formidable defensive capabilities, both biological and technological. Why would their ships be different? "Perhaps they're hiding something," Trila suggested. "Or perhaps," Zorlak said slowly, "they don't consider them weapons at all." The meeting with the human delegation was scheduled for the following cycle. Zorlak spent the intervening time studying the Prospect of Dawn's specifications more carefully. The vessel was enormous, nearly 2 kilometers long, with a crew of just 500. Most of its internal volume was dedicated to cargo holds, manufacturing facilities, and what the humans called emergency systems. When Captain Jack Reed of the Prospect of Dawn arrived at Zorlak's office, the ambassador was immediately struck by the human's relaxed demeanor. Reed was tall for a human, with weathered skin that spoke of years spent in space. "Ambassador Zorlak," Reed said with a smile that displayed far too many teeth. "A pleasure to meet you. I understand you had some questions about our ship?" "Yes, Captain. I notice your vessel doesn't list any weapons systems. This is unusual for a ship of your size, especially one from a death world." Reed's expression remained pleasant. "That's correct. We don't carry weapons. The Galactic Union's regulations are quite clear about armed vessels in peacetime. But surely you must have some means of defense. The void is not always safe." "Oh, we have plenty of defense systems," Reed said casually. "Emergency thrusters, reinforced hull plating, radiation shields. Standard stuff, really." Zorlak's appendages twitched again. "And these emergency thrusters, how powerful are they?" "Powerful. Enough to move the ship if the main engines fail," Reed answered promptly. "Safety first, you know." Something still didn't add up. Zorlak scanned the manifest again. "Your ship also carries substantial manufacturing capabilities." "For repairs and maintenance," Reed explained. "We can be out in deep space for years. Self-sufficiency is essential." As the meeting concluded, Zorlak couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something obvious. The humans were hiding in plain sight, but what? The answer came 3 days later when a Krell pirate vessel attacked the station. The alarm klaxons blared throughout the station as the Krell warship opened fire. 3 quick volleys of plasma torpedoes struck the station's outer ring, causing significant damage to the defensive shields. "All civilian vessels, seek shelter in the inner docking bays," announced the station's AI. "This is not a drill." Ambassador Zorlak rushed to the command center, his respiratory sacs heaving with exertion. The station commander, a stern Velian, named Mox, was already coordinating the defense. "Status report," Zorlak demanded. "Krell warship, heavy class," Mox replied tersely. "They've disabled our long-range communications and damaged 2 of our defensive batteries. They're demanding we surrender the station." "That's absurd. This is a diplomatic hub." "Pirates don't care about diplomacy," Mox said grimly. "They know we have valuable resources. Our reinforcements are at least 6 hours away." The communications officer interrupted. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel Prospect of Dawn." Captain Reed's face appeared on the main screen. "Station command, we're monitoring the situation. Request permission to assist in your defense." Mox looked confused. "Captain, your ship is unarmed according to your manifest." Reed's expression remained serious. "We have certain emergency systems that might be useful. With your permission, we'd like to move to an optimal position." Mox hesitated, then nodded. "Granted, but I don't see what you can—" "Thank you." "Read out." The screen switched back to the external view of space. The Prospect of Dawn was moving, its massive bulk surprisingly agile as it maneuvered away from the station. What are they doing? Zorlak wondered aloud. The Krell ship fired another volley, this time directly at the human vessel. To everyone's shock, the torpedoes seemed to bounce off an invisible barrier surrounding the prospect. Impossible, Mox whispered. Their shields shouldn't be that powerful. What happened next left the entire command center in stunned silence. The prospect of dawn abruptly accelerated toward the Krell ship, its emergency thrusters glowing with an intensity that suggested they were far more than backup systems. "They're going to ram them," someone shouted. But at the last moment, the human ship veered away. As it passed the Krell vessel, jets of what appeared to be mining coolant sprayed from recessed ports along its hull, instantly freezing in the vacuum of space and adhering to the Krell ship's weapons arrays. "Ingenious," Zorlak breathed. "They've neutralized the Krell's main batteries." The prospect didn't stop there. It circled back, and this time, its repair drones swarmed out. Hundreds of small, agile machines that quickly attached themselves to the Krell ship's engines and communication arrays. Within minutes, the pirate vessel was dead in space, its systems offline. "Station Command. This is Captain Reed. The threat has been neutralized. We've disabled their engines and weapons. You might want to send a boarding party before they get their systems back online." Mox was speechless for a moment. "Understood, Captain, and thank you." After the Krell pirates were apprehended, Zorlak found himself once again facing Captain Reed, this time with a new understanding. "You never lied about not having weapons," Zorlak said slowly. "Because to humans, nothing on your ship is inherently a weapon, is it?" Reed smiled. "Ambassador, we come from a world where anything can kill you. We learned long ago that anything can also protect you, if used correctly." The incident with the Krell pirates quickly became the talk of the station. Ambassador Zorlak found himself inundated with inquiries from representatives of other species, all wanting to know more about the human vessel that had so effortlessly neutralized a threat using non-weapons. But Zorlak was more interested in understanding the humans themselves. With the station commander's permission, he requested a tour of the prospect of dawn. Captain Reed met him at the airlock, accompanied by his first officer, a woman named Ava Mills. "Welcome aboard, Ambassador," Reed said warmly. "We're happy to show you around, though I should warn you, human ships are designed with practicality in mind, not aesthetic appeal." The captain wasn't exaggerating. The interior of the prospect was utilitarian to the extreme. Every surface served multiple functions, every corridor was designed to be sealed off in sections, and every room could be repurposed as needed. "This is our main manufacturing center," Reed explained, as they entered a cavernous space filled with machines. "We can fabricate almost anything we need, from replacement hull plating to medical supplies." Zorlak noticed several large devices that resembled the repair drones used against the Krell ship. "And these?" "Maintenance units," Ava explained. "They're primarily for external repairs, but they're quite versatile." "I noticed," Zorlak said dryly. "They seemed quite effective at dismantling the Krell's systems." Reed shrugged. "They're designed to break down damaged components for recycling. The fact that they can also break down hostile components is incidental." As they continued the tour, Zorlak began to understand. The humans hadn't developed specialized weapons because they'd never needed to. Every system on their ship could be repurposed for defense in an emergency. Their mining lasers could cut through enemy hulls. Their cargo loading mechanisms could launch improvised projectiles. Even their communication arrays could be reconfigured to disrupt enemy sensors. "This is our agricultural section," Reed said, leading him into a vast chamber filled with plants. "We grow most of our own food. Self-sufficiency is crucial for long voyages." Zorlak noticed that some of the plants didn't appear to be food crops. "And these species?" "Research specimens," Ava replied. "Some have medicinal properties. Others are being studied for their adaptive capabilities. Or their defensive compounds," Zorlak guessed. Reed smiled. "Nature develops some remarkable defense mechanisms on Earth. We'd be fools not to learn from them." The final stop on the tour was the bridge, a surprisingly compact space given the size of the vessel. The crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring systems and making adjustments. "This is where we coordinate everything," Reed explained. From here, we can reconfigure any system on the ship in seconds. Zorlak studied the displays, noting how every system was interconnected. You've built remarkable redundancy into your vessel. On a death world, backup systems aren't a luxury, they're essential, Reed said. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, often at the worst possible moment. As they were about to leave the bridge, an alert sounded. A crew member called out, "Captain, we're detecting an anomaly in Sector 7. Energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." Reed moved quickly to the station. "Analysis? Unknown, sir. It's not moving, but it's emanating some kind of radiation." "Interesting," Reed muttered. "Ambassador, it seems we might have a little mystery on our hands. Care to join us in investigating?" Zorlak found himself nodding. The opportunity to see the humans in action again was too intriguing to pass up. "Prepare a scout team," Reed ordered, "and inform the station of our intentions. We'll depart in 30 minutes. The scout ship detached from the prospect of dawn with a gentle push from its maneuvering thrusters. Captain Reed had insisted on leading the investigation himself, bringing along his first officer Ava, a science specialist named Tom, and, somewhat to Zorlak's surprise, the ambassador himself. "I'm not sure this is wise," Zorlak said, as the small vessel accelerated toward the anomaly. "If this is some kind of weapon or trap, then we're better equipped to handle it than most," Reed replied confidently. "Besides, first contact situations are what we're out here for." The anomaly grew larger on their screens as they approached. A swirling mass of energy, pulsating with colors Zorlak's eyes could barely process. "Fascinating," Tom murmured, his fingers dancing over the sensor controls. "It's some kind of spatial distortion, almost like a miniature wormhole, but stable." "Artificial?" Ava asked. "Has to be. This doesn't occur naturally." Reed studied the readings with a frown. "Any signs of who created it?" "None, sir. But the energy signature is increasing." "I think it's—" The scientist never finished his sentence. The anomaly suddenly expanded, engulfing their scout ship in a blinding flash of light. When Zorlak's vision cleared, the stars outside the viewport had changed configuration entirely. "Status report," Reed barked. "All systems functioning," Ava reported. "But, sir, stellar configurations don't match any known sector. I think we've been transported." Reed remained calm, though Zorlak could sense the tension in his posture. "Distance from the anomaly?" "About 10,000 kilometers, sir. It's still there, but smaller now." "So it's a transportation device," Reed mused. "Question is, did it bring us somewhere, or did it bring something to us?" The answer came moments later when their sensors detected a massive object moving toward them. It dwarfed their scout ship, stretching several kilometers in length. "It's a ship," Tom whispered. "Unlike anything I've ever seen." The alien vessel was biomechanical in appearance, with sections that seemed to pulse and move as if alive. It emitted no recognizable communication signals, but its intent became clear when a series of energy beams lanced out, narrowly missing their scout ship. "Evasive maneuvers!" Reed shouted. Ava's hands flew over the controls, sending their small craft into a spiraling dive that barely avoided the next volley. "We need to get back to the anomaly," Reed ordered. "It might be our only way home." "The alien vessel is positioning itself between us and the anomaly," Tom reported. "It's herding us away." Zorlak felt his fear glands secreting copiously. "They're hunting us." Reed's expression hardened. "Maybe. But they've never hunted humans before." He turned to Ava. "Reconfigure the atmospheric scrubbers. I want a cloud of particulates dense enough to blind their sensors." "The scrubbers aren't designed for that," Ava protested. "They are now," Reed said firmly. "Tom, prepare to overload our engine's magnetic containment the moment we're in the cloud. Just enough to create an electromagnetic pulse." As Ava worked on repurposing the life support systems, Reed turned to Zorlak. "Ambassador, I need you to send a message back through the anomaly on all frequencies. If we don't make it back, the prospect needs to know what happened." Zorlak nodded, suddenly understanding why Reed had brought him along. His species' natural ability to communicate across multiple frequencies simultaneously made him the perfect emergency transmitter. The plan worked perfectly. The cloud of particulates confused the alien vessel's sensors long enough for them to slip past, the electromagnetic pulse temporarily disabling its weapon systems. As they approached the anomaly, Zorlak broadcasted their experience, hoping the message would reach the prospect. Just before they entered the anomaly, Reed said quietly, "This is why we build adaptable ships, Ambassador. Not because we want to fight, but because we need to survive." The return journey through the anomaly was more violent than their initial transit. The scout ship shuddered and groaned as spatial forces twisted its hull almost to the breaking point. Warning alarms blared from multiple systems as they emerged back into familiar space. "Damage report," Reed demanded, wiping blood from a cut. On his forehead, Ava looked grim as she checked the displays. "Life support is functional but degrading. Engines are at 40% capacity. Hull integrity compromised in 2 sections. And our pursuer? No sign of them yet, but the anomaly is still active. They could follow us through." Reed immediately opened a channel to the Prospect of Dawn. "This is Captain Reed. We've encountered a hostile species through the anomaly. Unknown capabilities, but technologically advanced and definitely aggressive. We're returning to the ship with damage." The response was immediate. "Understood, Captain. We're preparing for potential hostilities and sending a rescue shuttle to assist." Zorlak watched, in fascination, as the humans efficiently prepared for the worst-case scenario. Even as their damaged scout limped back toward the Prospect, the larger ship was already transforming. Sections of the hull reconfigured, revealing what appeared to be reinforced defense platforms. The maintenance drones deployed in a protective screen around the vessel. "You said your ship had no weapons," Zorlak remarked. Reed didn't take his eyes off the displays. "I said we had no weapons systems. There's a difference." Before Zorlak could respond, their sensors detected movement. The anomaly was expanding again. "Here they come," Tom said tensely. The alien vessel emerged from the spatial distortion, its biomechanical form even more imposing against the backdrop of normal space. It immediately launched a barrage of energy beams toward the damaged scout. "Ship, evasive action," Reed ordered, but the damaged engines responded sluggishly. Just as it seemed the attack would destroy them, the beams were intercepted by a swarm of objects launched from the Prospect of Dawn. The resulting explosions created a shield of debris and energy that absorbed the alien vessel's attack. "What was that?" Zorlak asked in amazement. "Mining charges," Ava explained with a tight smile. "Normally used for breaking up asteroids." The Prospect didn't stop there. As the scout ship limped towards safety, the massive human vessel positioned itself between them and the aggressor. What happened next demonstrated why Deathworlder ships were truly terrifying. The Prospect's agricultural section ejected what appeared to be seed pods toward the alien vessel. Upon contact, they burst into rapidly expanding organic masses that adhered to the biomechanical hull, causing visible distress to the living components. Simultaneously, the ship's emergency thrusters propelled it in an impossibly tight maneuver that brought its mining lasers to bear. These industrial tools, designed to cut through asteroid rock, sliced into the alien vessel with surgical precision, targeting what appeared to be sensory organs. "Those aren't weapons," Zorlak whispered in realization. "They're tools being used as weapons by beings who evolved to see everything as potentially lethal." The alien vessel seemed to recognize it had underestimated its opponent. It attempted to retreat toward the anomaly. But the Prospect had one final surprise. Its communications array emitted a precisely modulated burst of energy that caused the anomaly to collapse in on itself, cutting off the escape route. Trapped and damaged, the alien ship ceased its attack. A standoff ensued as the scout ship finally docked with the Prospect. As they disembarked, Reed turned to Zorlak. "Now comes the difficult part." "Difficult? You've neutralized a technologically superior opponent." Reed shook his head. "The difficult part isn't winning the fight, Ambassador. It's finding a way to communicate, to understand. That's always been humanity's greatest challenge." In the days following the encounter with the alien vessel, Station Alpha became a hub of frantic activity. Representatives from across the Galactic Union arrived to observe the standoff and offer assistance. Military ships from 6 different species took up defensive positions around the station, while diplomats and xenolinguists worked tirelessly to establish communication with the biomechanical entity. Ambassador Zorlak found himself in the unusual position of being a bridge between the humans and the rest of the Union. His first-hand experience of human adaptability had given him insights that other species lacked. "The Union Security Council is demanding that we destroy the alien vessel," Zorlak informed Captain Reed during one of their strategy sessions. "They believe it represents an existential threat." Reed frowned. "Destroying it would be premature. We don't know if it's a scout, part of a larger force, or a lone entity. If we destroy it without understanding its nature, we risk making a powerful enemy." "I agree," Zorlak said. "But many species fear that its technology could be a match for our combined defenses." "Fear is understandable," Reed acknowledged. "But fear shouldn't drive our decisions." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Tom, the science specialist who had accompanied them on the scout mission, discovered that the biomechanical ship was attempting to communicate through subtle electromagnetic pulses. "It's been trying to talk to us all along," Tom explained to the assembled representatives. "But its method of communication is so different from ours that we missed it." With this insight, the humans began to devise a translation system. They repurposed sensor arrays, medical scanning equipment, and communication dishes to create a rudimentary interface. 3 days later, they received the first intelligible message from the alien vessel. "Why trap? Why harm? Seek understanding." So the response was carefully crafted. "We defended ourselves. We also seek understanding. Communication is possible now." The exchange continued gradually, with each message providing more insights into the alien species, which called itself the Vrian. They were a collective consciousness spread across multiple biomechanical vessels, exploring the universe through artificial anomalies. "They didn't mean to attack us," Reed explained to the Union Council. "What we interpreted as aggression was their attempt to integrate our scout ship into their collective. They were trying to welcome us." "That doesn't excuse the danger they posed," argued the Trellan representative. "Their method of welcome nearly destroyed your vessel." "True," Reed conceded. "But now that we understand each other, we can establish proper protocols." The negotiations were delicate. The Vrian found it difficult to comprehend individual consciousness, while many Union species remained deeply suspicious of the collective entity. Once again, it was the humans who provided a solution. "We propose a limited exchange," Reed suggested. "One of our team will temporarily join with the Vrian collective to facilitate understanding, while a portion of their consciousness transfers to our ship's computer systems in isolation." The proposal was met with shock and disbelief. "You would allow yourself to be absorbed by this entity?" Zorlak asked incredulously. Reed shook his head. "Not me. Ava has volunteered." Ava stepped forward. "I'm the logical choice. My neural implants can be configured to protect my core consciousness while allowing surface thoughts to be shared." "It's too dangerous," Zorlak protested. "Danger is relative, Ambassador," Ava replied with a small smile. "I grew up on Earth. Compared to some of the predators there, joining minds with an alien collective seems almost reasonable." The exchange was set up with extensive safeguards. Medical teams stood by as Ava approached the alien vessel in a specially designed shuttle. The Vrian extended a tendril-like appendage that connected with her neural implants. For several tense hours, there was no communication. Then, simultaneously, Ava's voice came through the comms and a new presence manifested in the prospect's isolated computer system. "It worked," Ava reported, her voice tinged with awe. "Their collective is vast, ancient. They've been exploring the universe for millions of years." From the ship's computer, the Vrian portion communicated, "We understand now. Separation, individuality, different but valid. We apologize for harm, misunderstanding." As Ava shared more of what she was experiencing, the implications became clear. The Vrian possessed technology and knowledge far beyond anything in the Union, but had never encountered individual conscious beings before. Their isolated evolution had left them as blind to the concept of separate identities as most species were to collective consciousness. "They're not a threat," Reed told the Council firmly. "They're simply different, and now they want to learn from us, as we can learn from them." Zorlak watched the proceedings with a new understanding of humanity. These Deathworlders, with their ships that could transform mining equipment into weaponry at a moment's notice, were simultaneously the most dangerous and the most open-minded species he had ever encountered. 6 months after the first contact with the Vrian, the Galactic Union established a permanent research station near the location where the anomaly had appeared. The station, named Convergence, was jointly operated by Union scientists and a small Vrian presence that had volunteered to remain separated from the main collective. Ambassador Zorlak had been appointed as the diplomatic liaison to this unprecedented project. Today, he was welcoming a steady stream of dignitaries to the observation deck for a historic demonstration. "Ambassador," a familiar voice called. Zorlak turned to see Captain Reed approaching, accompanied by Ava Mills. "Captain, first, Officer Mills," Zorlak greeted them warmly. "I'm pleased you could attend." "We wouldn't miss it," Reed replied, "though I admit, I'm still not entirely comfortable with the idea." "Few are," Zorlak acknowledged, "but the benefits outweigh the risks." The observation deck offered a panoramic view of space, where the prospect of dawn floated alongside a Vrian vessel. The two ships were connected by a shimmering energy conduit, a technological marvel developed through their collaboration. The integration of Vrian's spatial manipulation technology with human adaptability has progressed faster than anyone anticipated, Zorlak explained to the assembled representatives. "Today, we witness the first test of a controlled artificial anomaly that could revolutionize interstellar travel." The demonstration began as the energy conduit between the ships intensified. Space itself seemed to fold in front of them, creating a stable passage through the void. Unlike the original anomaly, this one was precisely controlled, its destination predetermined. "Target confirmed," announced a technician. "The exit point is exactly as calculated, the Taurus Reach, over 3,000 light-years from our current position." A murmur of amazement spread through the crowd. Even with the most advanced Union technology, such a journey would take years. The anomaly promised to reduce it to minutes. "A remarkable achievement," Reed admitted, "though I suspect the military applications haven't escaped anyone's notice." "They haven't," Zorlak agreed quietly, "which is why the Oversight Committee has equal representation from all council races." As the demonstration concluded successfully, Zorlak found himself reflecting on the events that had led to this moment. The initial fear of the seemingly unarmed human ship had given way to a deeper understanding, not just of humans, but of the universe itself. Later, at the reception, Zorlak found himself standing with Reed and Ava, watching as representatives from dozens of species mingled with the Vrian ambassadors. "I still have nightmares sometimes," Ava confessed. "Echoes of the collective consciousness. Their perception of time is so different from ours. They experience past, present, and future simultaneously." "Is that why they seem so alien to us?" Zorlak asked. "Partly," Ava nodded. "But they found us equally incomprehensible. The concept of individual death terrifies them. They can't understand how we function knowing our consciousness will end." Reed smiled wryly. "Maybe that's why humans build such adaptable ships. Deep down, we're all trying to cheat death just a little longer." A young Union officer approached them, datapad in hand. "Excuse me, Ambassador Zorlak. The Council has approved your proposal for the Death World Knowledge Exchange Program. They're requesting human participation as primary consultants." "Excellent." Zorlak turned to Reed. "Captain, this is what we discussed. A formal program to share adaptive technologies and philosophies across the Union." "No weapons included, I assume?" Reed asked with a knowing smile. "Of course not," Zorlak replied. "Just tools, systems, and methodologies. The distinction is important, legally speaking." As the reception continued, Zorlak found himself standing alone for a moment, watching the diverse gathering. The Vrian representatives floated serenely among beings they once would have tried to absorb. Human engineers discussed design modifications, with species that had initially feared them. Progress, however tentative, was being made. A senior council member joined him. "Quite a change from your first report about the human ship, Ambassador." "Indeed," Zorlak agreed. "I've learned that the most important adaptations aren't technological at all. They're conceptual, the willingness to reconsider one's assumptions." He gestured toward the viewport, where the prospect of dawn and the Vrian vessel maintained their connection across the void. "The humans taught us that anything can be a weapon if necessary, but anything can also be a tool for understanding. It simply depends on how you choose to use it." The council member nodded thoughtfully. "A valuable lesson from a Death World species." "The most valuable," Zorlak replied. and perhaps the true reason their ships have no weapons listed. Because in the end, what makes them truly terrifying isn't their capacity for violence, it's their endless capacity for change. Outside, the stars shone steadily in the black void, bearing witness to the beginning of a new era in galactic relations, one where the Deathworlders' greatest contribution might not be their strength, but their perspective. The end.